There is a lie so deeply embedded in the fabric of modern society that questioning it feels like heresy. This lie is simple, elegant, and absolutely devastating to those who believe it. The lie is this: that hard work equals wealth, that effort equals reward, that if you just push hard enough, sacrifice long enough, bleed enough, the universe will compensate you accordingly. But here's what they don't tell you in school, what your parents couldn't teach you because they didn't know it themselves, what your boss will never admit, even if he understands it perfectly. Hard work is not the path to wealth. Hard work is the trap that keeps you poor. Pause with that for a moment. Let it disturb you. Because if you've spent years, maybe decades, pouring your life force into 60-hour work weeks, into climbing corporate ladders, into being the most reliable, the most dedicated, the hardest working person in the room, and you're still struggling, still stressed about money, still unable to break free, then something fundamental about the game you're playing is wrong. This is not your fault. But it is your responsibility to understand. Right now, you're running on a treadmill. You're exhausted. Your legs are burning. You're following all the rules they gave you. Get the degree. Get the job. Work hard. Be loyal. Sacrifice today for tomorrow. And yet somehow, the distance between where you are and where you want to be keeps growing. The finish line moves faster than you can run. Why? Because you've been conditioned, programmed, transformed from a potential architect of destiny into a beast of burden. The system doesn't need you to think. It needs you to work. It needs your time, your energy, your compliance, and in exchange, it gives you just enough to keep you running, but never enough to stop. The people who reach true wealth, the 1%, the ones who build empires instead of building someone else's empire, they understand something you were never taught. They operate by a completely different logic, a hidden logic, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This video is not about budgeting tips. It's not about side hustles or passive income schemes or the latest cryptocurrency. This is a deprogramming. We're going to dismantle the mental prison you didn't even know you were living in. We're going to reveal the mechanisms that separate those who accumulate power from those who simply trade their life for a paycheck. But I'm going to warn you now. What comes next will make you uncomfortable. It will contradict everything you were taught to believe about fairness, about merit, about how the world works. Some of you will reject it. Your conditioning will be too strong, and that's fine. But for those of you who are ready, who are tired of the treadmill, who sense that there's a game being played that nobody explained to you, stay with me. Because by the end of this, you'll understand why hard work keeps you poor. And more importantly, you'll understand what actually makes you rich. Let's begin with mathematics. Cold, brutal, unavoidable mathematics. When you sell your time for money, you enter into a game with a predetermined ceiling. The day has exactly 24 hours. If you sleep 6 hours, you have 18 left. If you work 10 of those hours, you have 8 remaining. Even if you sacrifice everything, sleep 4 hours, work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, you hit a wall, a mathematical wall. There are only so many hours you can sell before your body breaks or your mind fractures. This is the trap of linearity. Your income scales linearly with your time. 1 hour equals X dollars. 2 hours equals 2X dollars. It's simple, it's predictable, and it's a prison. The 1% don't play this game. They understand that wealth is not linear. Wealth is exponential. Wealth requires leverage, and you cannot achieve leverage when your income is directly tied to the clock. Think about it this way. A surgeon making $500 per hour is considered highly successful by conventional standards. But even this surgeon, working 60 hours a week, hits a ceiling of around $1.5 million per year. Impressive, but not wealthy, not free. Because the moment the surgeon stops working, the income stops. The surgeon is still selling time, just at a higher rate. Now contrast this with someone who builds a system, someone who creates a business, a piece of software, a portfolio of investments. Their income is decoupled from their time. They can earn while they sleep, while they travel, while they do nothing. The ceiling doesn't exist because time is no longer the constraint. This is not about working less. This is about understanding that if your strategy for wealth is to work harder within a time-based compensation model, you've already lost. The math guarantees it. You're optimizing inside a cage. And here's the truly devastating part. The harder you work within this linear model, the more trapped you become. Because hard work within a broken system doesn't lead to breakthrough, it leads to burnout. You become more skilled at playing a game that cannot be won. So the first harsh truth is this: if your income is directly tied to the hours you work, you need to exit that model entirely. Not someday, not when you're ready, now. Because every year you spend perfecting your ability to trade time for money is a year you're not building actual wealth. But there's a deeper problem, and it's more psychological than mathematical. The market does not care about your effort. The market does not care about your sacrifice. The market does not care how hard you worked, how many obstacles you overcame, how much you suffered to produce something. The market cares exclusively about one thing: the perceived value of your output. Let me say that again because this might be the most important sentence in this entire video. The market pays for valuable outputs, not difficult inputs. You can work 18 hours a day digging holes and filling them back in. The effort is immense. The dedication is admirable. The physical toll is severe. And the market value is zero, because the output has no value to anyone. Conversely, someone can spend 30 minutes writing an email that closes a $10 million deal. Minimal effort, no visible suffering, and the market rewards it massively because the output created tremendous value. This is the paradigm break that most people never make. They've been conditioned to believe that hard work is inherently virtuous and should be rewarded. They believe that struggle equals worth. So they keep struggling, expecting the universe to notice their sacrifice and compensate them for their pain. But the universe is indifferent to your pain. The market is indifferent to your effort. They respond only to value creation. And here's where it gets truly uncomfortable. Value is not objective. Value is perceived. Two people can produce the exact same result, but if one has a better reputation, better positioning, better narrative around their work, they will be paid exponentially more. A designer who creates a logo might charge $500. Another designer with the same skills creates an identical quality logo, but has worked with major brands, has social proof, has a premium positioning, charges $50,000. Same effort, same output quality, different perceived value. This is why someone working minimum wage in retail, dealing with difficult customers, standing for 8 hours, solving problems constantly, gets paid poverty wages, while someone giving a 1-hour keynote speech about leadership gets paid $20,000? The effort comparison is absurd. The retail worker works harder, but the market doesn't care. The perceived value of the speech is higher. The scarcity is higher. The positioning is different. So the second harsh truth is this: you must divorce your sense of self-worth from your effort. You must stop expecting fairness. You must stop thinking that working harder at low-value activities will somehow transmute them into high-value outcomes. It won't. You're not being paid for effort. You're being paid for valuable, scarce results. Optimize for that, or stay poor. But why do so few people make this shift? Why do most people spend their entire lives trapped in the effort paradigm, believing that harder work is always the answer? Because they've been programmed. From the time you entered the school system, you were being shaped, not educated in the true sense. Educated means to draw out your unique potential. No, you were being standardized, processed, turned into a functional unit that fits into the economic machine. Sit still, raise your hand, follow instructions, memorize what we tell you, don't question the curriculum, take the test, get the grade, move to the next level. And if you do this well enough, you get the ultimate prize, a job, where you will continue to sit still, follow instructions, not question the system, and trade your finite time for a paycheck. The entire structure is designed to produce obedient workers, not autonomous thinkers. It's designed to create people who fear risk, who seek approval, who trust authority, who believe that the path to success is through compliance. And it works. It works brilliantly. Most people never even think to question it. They graduate, they get the job, they work hard. And they wonder why they're not wealthy, never realizing that wealth was never part of the program they were enrolled in. Your parents reinforced this because it's what they knew. They meant well. They wanted security for you. And in their generation, maybe it worked. You could get a stable job, work 30 years, retire with a pension. That world is gone. But the programming remains. The education system doesn't teach financial literacy. It doesn't teach entrepreneurship. It doesn't teach independent thinking or risk assessment or value creation. It teaches compliance. Because the system needs workers. It needs consumers. It doesn't need a population of wealthy, independent thinkers who can't be controlled. So fear was installed in you. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of standing out, fear of taking risks, and this fear keeps you safe in your cubicle, safe in your predictable job, safe in your linear, time-for-money existence. The third harsh truth is this: if you want to be wealthy, you must deprogram yourself. You must recognize that the fear of risk, the need for security, the belief in the legitimacy of authority over your financial future, these are control mechanisms. They're not protecting you. They're imprisoning you. You need to unlearn them, consciously, aggressively, or you'll carry them into every opportunity and sabotage yourself before you even begin. Now, pause here with me. Everything we've discussed so far has been about the visible world, the physical traps, the mathematical limitations of selling time, the market's indifference to your effort, the programming that keeps you compliant. These are the surface-level reasons why hard work keeps you poor. And understanding them is important. But they're not the full picture, because the real game, the 1% play, happens in a completely different realm. It happens in the invisible world, the mental world, the world of knowledge, belief, identity. What I'm about to share with you now is the true hidden logic. And it's going to require something from you. It's going to require that you abandon your attachment to conventional thinking, that you become comfortable with ideas that sound almost mystical, almost too simple, almost absurd. But the people who have built empires, who have amassed tremendous wealth, who operate at levels most people can't even conceive of, they all understand what I'm about to tell you. They just don't talk about it publicly, because if everyone knew, the advantage would disappear. Are you ready? Let's talk about the only true asset that someone starting from zero actually has access to. It's not money. You don't have that yet. It's not connections. You're not born into the right networks. It's not time. We've already established that selling time is the trap. The only asset you have is your mind, specifically your capacity to acquire and apply specialized knowledge. But not all knowledge is created equal. This is critical. Most people confuse education with knowledge. They confuse information consumption with knowledge acquisition. They're not the same. You can spend 4 years getting a degree and accumulate almost no valuable knowledge. You memorized. You passed tests. You have a credential. But do you have knowledge that creates value in the market? Do you have specialized skills that are rare and monetizable? Most don't. The 1% are obsessed with a specific type of knowledge. They study psychology, human behavior, persuasion, sales, marketing, financial structures, systems thinking, negotiation, power dynamics. They consume information that gives them leverage over reality itself. The 99% study for credentials. They consume information for entertainment. They scroll, they watch, they distract themselves. They read things that make them feel smart, but don't change their capabilities. Your mind is a factory. Every single day, you're feeding it inputs, and whatever you feed it, it produces outputs accordingly. If you feed your mind junk, distraction, low-value information, gossip, outrage. Your mind produces junk outputs, scattered thinking, reactive behavior, poor decisions, and ultimately, poverty. If you feed your mind high-value inputs, specialized knowledge, frameworks for understanding systems, techniques for influencing outcomes, your mind begins producing valuable outputs. Clear thinking, strategic behavior, high-value decisions, and ultimately, wealth. This is not metaphorical, this is literal. The quality of your knowledge directly determines the quality of your results. Think about someone who becomes a millionaire from real estate. What did they really do? They acquired specialized knowledge about property markets, financing structures, negotiation tactics, tenant management. They applied that knowledge. The knowledge created the wealth. The hard work of managing properties came after. The knowledge was the leverage point. Think about someone who builds a successful online business. What created the wealth? Specialized knowledge of digital marketing, copywriting, funnel optimization, audience psychology. The hard work of content creation came after. The knowledge was the leverage. Now here's the truly dangerous part that most people never grasp. You can access this knowledge right now, for free or near free. The information that billionaires use to build their empires is available. Books, courses, interviews, case studies. It's all there. But most people don't consume it because they've been programmed to consume what feels comfortable, what everyone else is consuming, entertainment, distraction, surface-level content that requires no mental effort. The fourth harsh truth is this: if you want to be wealthy, you need to become violently intentional about what you put into your mind. Stop consuming information that doesn't directly increase your value in the market. Stop scrolling. Stop watching content that makes you feel good but doesn't make you grow. Treat your mind like the asset it is. Feed it specialized knowledge in areas that have high leverage: sales, marketing, finance, psychology, systems. Do this for 6 months with real focus, and you'll be operating in a different reality than you are now. But even specialized knowledge isn't enough, because there's one final piece, the piece that almost no one understands, the piece that determines whether you actually use the knowledge you acquire or whether you sabotage yourself at every opportunity. It's your identity, your self-image, the story you tell yourself about who you are. And this is where we enter territory that sounds mystical, but is actually devastatingly practical. You will never earn significantly more money than your self-image allows. Never. Read that again. You will never earn significantly more than your self-image allows. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, who's not good with finances, who comes from a poor background, and that's just how things are, your subconscious mind will sabotage every opportunity that threatens that identity. You'll get a chance to ask for a raise, but you won't. Something inside you will stop you. You'll get an opportunity to start a business, but you'll find reasons why now isn't the right time. You'll be on the verge of a breakthrough. And you'll unconsciously do something to derail it. Why? Because your subconscious mind's primary job is not to make you successful. It's to keep you consistent with your identity. If your identity is, I'm someone who works hard but never gets ahead, then getting ahead would create an identity crisis. Your subconscious prevents that. It keeps you safe in your familiar struggle. This is why lottery winners often lose all their money within a few years. The external wealth changed, but the internal identity didn't. A person with a poor person's identity cannot hold on to wealth. It feels wrong, foreign, unsafe. So they unconsciously make decisions that return them to their familiar financial state. The 1% understand this at a level most people never reach. They don't just acquire knowledge. They don't just work on their business. They work on their identity. They assume the identity of a wealthy person before the bank account reflects it. This is what Steve Jobs called a reality distortion field, the ability to believe in a future so completely that you begin operating from that future in the present. You don't wait for evidence. You don't wait for permission. You decide who you are, and you act accordingly. A person with a wealthy identity doesn't ask, "Can I afford this business investment?" They ask, "How do I make this work?" Different question, different identity, different result. A person with a wealthy identity doesn't think, "I hope this succeeds." They think, "Of course this succeeds. That's who I am. I'm someone who builds successful things." Different belief, different behavior, different outcome. This sounds like positive thinking nonsense. It's not. This is about neural programming. Every thought you think, every statement you make about yourself is programming your subconscious operating system. And that operating system runs automatically beneath your conscious awareness, driving your decisions, your behaviors, your results. If your operating system is programmed with, "I'm not good with money," you will unconsciously make poor financial decisions. You'll overlook opportunities. You'll avoid risks that have asymmetric upside. You'll stay small. If your operating system is programmed with, "I am someone who creates value and attracts wealth," you will unconsciously make better decisions. You'll notice opportunities others miss. You'll take calculated risks. You'll grow. The wealthy don't attract money through magic. They attract it through identity alignment. They see themselves as wealthy. They think like wealthy people think. They make decisions wealthy people make. And reality conforms to that frequency. This is not mysticism. This is psychology. This is neuroscience. This is how your brain works. The fifth and final harsh truth is this: you must engineer your self-image before you engineer your wealth. You must decide who you are at an identity level. Not hope, not wish, decide. And then every single day you must reinforce that identity through your thoughts, your words, your actions, your environment. You must act as if the wealth is inevitable. Because when you do this, your subconscious aligns with that identity and begins pulling you toward outcomes that match it. Let me bring this all together now. Hard work is not the enemy. Effort is necessary. But effort without the right vehicle is just burning fuel while standing still. The vehicle is specialized knowledge, knowledge that creates leverage, knowledge that decouples your income from your time, knowledge that allows you to produce high-value outputs instead of just expending high-effort inputs. The map is your identity, your self-image, your unshakable belief that you are someone who creates wealth. Because without that map, even if you have the vehicle, you'll drive in circles. You'll sabotage. You'll stay consistent with your old story. The 1% have both the vehicle and the map. They have specialized knowledge and an identity that aligns with wealth. That's the hidden logic. That's the difference. You were taught to work hard, to be obedient, to trade time for money, to see effort as virtue. And all of that keeps you exactly where the system needs you. Productive, compliant, poor. But you have a choice now. You've seen the trap. You understand the mathematics. You understand that the market doesn't care about your effort. You understand that your programming can be overwritten. You understand that knowledge is leverage. You understand that identity is destiny. So here's your choice, the same choice everyone faces once they see the truth. You can take the blue pill. You can close this video. You can go back to believing that if you just work a little harder, sacrifice a little more, eventually you'll break through. You can stay comfortable in the familiar struggle. No judgment. Most people take this path because it's easier to stay in a known prison than to venture into an unknown freedom. Or you can take the red pill. You can accept that everything you were taught about wealth was wrong. You can commit to deprogramming yourself. You can commit to acquiring specialized knowledge in areas that have leverage. You can commit to engineering your identity to match the wealth you want to create. You can step into the hidden logic. And you can start playing the game the 1% play. It won't be easy. You'll face doubt. You'll face fear. You'll face the voice in your head telling you to go back to what's safe. But on the other side of that discomfort is a completely different life. A life where you're not trading time for money. A life where you're creating value that scales. A life where your income isn't capped by hours in a day. A life where you're not exhausted and broke despite working yourself to death. The choice is yours. But understand this, you cannot unsee what you've seen here. You now know why hard work keeps you poor, and you know what actually creates wealth. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Don't forget to give a like or a hype and subscribe to the channel. Watch the next video to complete everything you just learned.